How's it going, bro?
What's up? What's up? So we're gonna start off today with I'm pretty sure it's a tweet from Mams, right? This is the one from the other day you were talking about, right?
Yeah. The one that he responded to Jake on Twitter with.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about it. Things lately in the influencer scene have kind of been heating up with the KSI versus Tommy Fury, Logan Paul, Dylan Dennis stuff. Jake Paul went on Twitter, basically called it an exhibition, which, by the way, is what it is, right? And that's not to whatever, but it is an exhibition. It's not a pro sanctioned fight. However, I think it's pro rules, yeah? Because that's what people were telling me on Twitter. Like, it's pro rules, it's just not pro sanctioned, right?
Exactly. It won't go on KSI or Tommy Fury's box rec,
Okay.
so it won't affect their official pro record. But it is pro rules, so it's 10-ounce gloves. It's no headgear. It's the same rules, that Jake had against Tommy,
Okay.
except for the fact obviously this is going to be a 6 round fight rather than an 8 round fight.
Okay. So it's an exhibition, right? Since it won't be ruled on their pro records. So Jake, what did he say on Twitter? He said, this exhibition, 6 round exhibition. What did he say?
So he said this. He responded to Jake's tweet and he said, "So sorry, just to be clear on what Jake said.
Yeah.
After hearing that it was going to be a 6 round fight, Jake took to Twitter where he said, 'Ha ha ha, 6 round exhibition, wow.' And Mams Taylor's response to that was, 'The only exhibition is your allegedly predetermined bum fights against MMA pensioners with broken backs and zero boxing experience. When you had a real fight, you lost. Cope, you fraudulent little insecure scammer duck, with your fake pay-per-view numbers and failed gambling site.'" And then he's ended it with the duck emoji. I mean, bro, I don't even know where to start with this. This is
Bro, there's too much, man. There's too much. Okay. Let's go back to the start, okay? So, what was the first
let's
one?
break
The
this let's
only
break this shit down, man.
exhibition. Yeah, let's break it down 100%. The only exhibition is your allegedly predetermined bump fights against MMA. Okay, let's just start with the predetermined. So, I don't know if when he's saying this, he's talking like predetermined as in rigged, or he's just saying, oh, everyone knows what's going to happen. You know what I mean? Me personally, how I see that, it looks like he's calling it rigged. You know what I mean? Because he's saying allegedly, right?
I mean, I've heard the guy in the past, Mams Taylor, talk about Tyron Woodley and Anderson Silva in a respectful way in terms of like rating them as opponents. When obviously KSI was rumoured to be fighting Woodley, Mams Taylor was talking about Woodley in a positive way in terms of how dangerous an opponent Woodley would be. And I've also heard him say the same for Anderson Silva. So this guy honestly just switches his opinions like the wind. It is kind of mad, but yeah. But if it is, as you said, more to do with the fact that he's trying to insinuate Jake's fights are rigged, it's like, you want to expand on it before I come
I
back in?
mean, do we need to start like first of all, they're pro sanctioned fights, right? Under Showtime, under Top Rank, under Now the Zone, right? So the idea that if this was fixed, it would be continuing is just it's stupid. Like let's just start with who's putting on these fights. You got Showtime, you're alleging them of doing a fixed fight where people are gambling, right? Putting money on the fights, which if they're caught, how hefty of a prison sentence is that, Fish? You know all about this.
I don't know when it comes to like exact number in terms of years of prison sentence. However, I do know there was a Chinese UFC athlete who got caught match fixing, fight fixing, and he was sentenced to prison. So, as I said, for people who think this is like, you can get away with this, no, if you're caught match fixing a professionally sanctioned fight, you're going to prison. There's
Right.
no two ways about it. And so, yeah, for people who think that Jake and, his opponents and whoever else would be involved are somehow smarter than the law, somehow smarter than the police authorities, the FBI, the CIA, whoever it is that deals with, fraud and things like that. If people think Jake Paul and other people, like, his opponents, are smarter than those guys, then it dumbfounds me. It really does. I mean,
So he says that, and then he says against MMA pensioners with broken backs and zero boxing experience. So let's start with the pensioners part, right? If he's referring, let's just make it clear, right? The oldest opponent Jake has fought to date is Anderson Silva, who is 47. The part that's
yeah,
funny
that's
about
right.
this, the part that's funny about this is that just a year ago, Mams Taylor sent a contract to 43-year-old Ivan Nikolov, who had been knocked out, what was it, 11 times in his career up at that point? 11
Yes, 11
times in
points.
his career, right? 43 years old. So him calling Silva a pensioner, I mean, first of all, the disrespect to Silva is crazy, right? But calling Silva a pensioner when you sent the contract to a guy a year ago who was only, what is that, 3 years younger? And then not only that, but if you want to talk about Tyron Woodley, because I think he was 40 at the time of fighting Jake as well, KSI just fought Joe Fournier, who was 40 years old. Like, you get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? And by the way, not only that, but also don't forget that KSI at the time as well sent a contract to Tyron Woodley. Mams Taylor sent a contract to Tyron Woodley, demanded a rehydration clause in that contract. So there's an interview out there, I forget where it is, but Mams said, oh yeah, or no, it was Tyron explaining it. And he goes, yeah, KSI's manager told me, like, yeah, Tyron, you're a hard fight. So I just find it funny how he's referring to Anderson and I would assume Tyron, because they're both in the 40-year-old range, as, you know, zero boxing experience, et cetera, when also, I mean, you want to talk about Anderson Silva versus Chavez Jr., but he literally demanded a rehydration clause in a contract with Tyron Woodley, that same pensioner that he's talking shit about Jake fighting.
And what's crazy is, hasn't Mams Taylor before talked about health and safety procedures and things like that? Because, you know, he was trying to say, oh, these guys that Jake had been fighting, they had sustained so much damage before fighting Jake. Yeah. Bro, you put a rehydration clause in the contract of Tyron Woodley, who just came off the most devastating knockout of his entire career. Where's the health and safety procedure in that? This is what I mean. Like, does the guy have any awareness whatsoever when he's actually putting out tweets? Because you know, everyone knows the biggest. I'm sorry, but you know, or the biggest. You know, I don't want to say like, you know, scammer, but well, you know, Coffeezilla's already made videos on it. Look, everyone knows Logan Paul's obviously been involved in something major with CryptoZoo, and you know, whenever anyone thinks of the word CryptoZoo or scammer, they think of Logan Paul. So his client KSI is literally business partners with Logan Paul. So for him to come,
but it's not only KSI though. They're all part of the Prime card, right? You saw screenshots the other week of Mams Taylor and a group with Logan. Like, he's actively doing business with Logan Paul, but he wants to talk about scammers. And by the way, he's referring to whatever Jake had with his crypto. I think it was back in like 2021, which, yes, it was stupid, but if you want to talk about it, he paid back. Logan's got $1 million+ right now in debt to the CryptoZoo victims that he still hasn't paid, and he's calling Jake a scammer. It's just, I don't know. Again, a lot of hypocrisy from Mams Taylor here. Seriously.
Yeah, for sure. As I said, there's more to it as well. There's more to it when you read on. With your fake pay-per-view numbers, I mean, so you're trying to tell us that companies like Showtime, companies like the Zone, who are actually, you know, the company that KSI is currently fighting on, companies like ESPN, Top Rank, you're telling us all these legit companies are putting out fake numbers for Jake Paul? Is that what you're telling us?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's honestly, I don't know what goes through this guy's head before he tweets, because it's honestly crazy. Nah, the people who say cooked and all that, these people actually, you know, deep down they know that Mams Taylor made a fool of himself, but because he's on their side, they have to back him. Even if it is blind.
Yeah, it's that, or they want to fight on Misfits, right? It's one of the two. But I just want to go back a little bit as well before we move off this topic. He says, when you had a real fight, you lost. Cope. I'm pretty sure Mams Taylor thought Jake beat Tommy in that fight. And it's funny because if you go on his page, you can't find it now. And if someone can go and find it and send it to the Full Disclosure Podcast Instagram or Twitter page, I'd appreciate it. But Mams Taylor literally put out a tweet at the end saying, I think it was like, 10-8 round to Jake. Jake won. It was something along the lines. He said Jake had won.
Yeah, I seen someone sent with a screenshot the other day. Mams Taylor was scoring it live on his Twitter. And round 7, he says that Tommy was up by a point. And then obviously round 8, Jake Paul gets a knockdown and has a 10-8 round. And Mams Taylor then says that Jake Paul had won. However, conveniently, the guy obviously deleted the tweet because he didn't want it to get out there that he'd actually said Jake Paul won that fight. But, you know, once you put stuff out there, it's there forever. So someone will post that tweet to us. And Mams Taylor knows himself that he picked Jake Paul to win that fight. So for him to, as you said, to have said that Jake lost the first real fight he fought, well, you know, you did say Jake won it, so make your mind up, bro.
Yeah. But all this, like, if you look at the tweet, I'm just looking at it now, it's got like 900,000 views, 4,000 likes. But, like, you have to understand that this is what Mams, like, this is what he thrives off of. You know what I mean? I've said it before. Like, when you look at his Twitter page, you would think that, I mean, from what I see, it's almost like you question, like, is this guy a manager or is he a limelight seeker? Like, which one is it? And it's not only that, right? Not only tweets like this, but it's like how he handled the whole Slim situation on Twitter, how he called Gibb a duck back, I think it was like a year ago, despite him knowing Gibb signed an NDA. Like, all these like social antics he does and just bullshit narratives he puts out there. The guy clearly didn't get enough limelight in his personal career, right? And now you're just seeing that translate over to him now running Misfits, which is like, where do you see Eddie Hearn calling people's fights fixed, calling his fighters, or not his fighters necessarily, well, yeah, calling his fighters under his promotional company ducks like he did Slim? Like, where do you see anyone else doing this shit? You know what I mean?
Yeah, as you said, this guy. Let's be honest. He was a failed musician. He attempted to have some sort of music career, didn't really work out for him at all, didn't become the mega star he wanted to be. I don't know if he wants to be, you know, I don't know, but some of the biggest music stars.
Yeah.
Obviously, he aimed to be one of those, didn't make it, somehow became KSI's manager. Oh, okay, well, I'm guessing it was connected to KSI's music career. Less said about that, the better, by the way. But anyway, so, and then KSI involves him in the whole boxing side of things, which is like, bro, what is this guy's fight experience or boxing experience to negotiate contracts and things like that? I mean, we've already seen Woodley say that Mams Taylor sent him the most disrespectful contract offer of his entire career. So I think that tells you something about the way Mams does dealings. So as I said, this guy is a limelight seeker. He never made it in the music career, and now he's now at a point where he's had the most eyes on himself that he's ever had. He's had far more eyes on him now than he ever had throughout his music career. And listen, man, he's making the most of that. He is making the most of that. He's wedging himself into that Misfits Council, despite the fact he wasn't even on the original fight poster. Sorry, not fight poster, the original, poster for that podcast. Wasn't it? Correct me if I'm wrong. Leon Wills, BJ Flores, True Geordie, and Roundhouse Radio. Was that the four that was supposed to be on it?
He wasn't on the poster. No.
He wasn't on the poster yet. They've made, 2 episodes of that, or 3 episodes, and Mams Taylor's been in every one of them.
I mean, yeah, it's... Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we summed up pretty well. And listen, I'm sure the build up to the Tommy fight, there's going to be more tweets like this so we can break them down. But I don't know. I wanted to point that out because I thought it was an interesting starting topic.